Hey, hello guys, this is Chinmay Koval, and today I'm going to talk about one of the project idea that I came up with, and I have implemented that project. Okay, so the project is kind of like I have created one application with front end and back end, little bit of front end and back end, and then I have created a GitHub repository. So in the GitHub repository, I have the Jenkins pipeline. So the pipeline will automatically fetch the changes in the code, and then it will create the Docker image and push it to the Docker Hub. And after that, we will take that image and we will install it as a container in a Kubernetes cluster that I have created in a Google Cloud service. So let's get started with the flow. So this is my app, the Anime Codes app. So as you can see, we can get the different different anime codes. And if we go like if you see the build version, it is 6.2. It's kind of like I'm going to use it afterwards so that we can see the flow. Like after making the changes in the code, the pipeline will get triggered and all. So for that, just 6.2. Okay. So yeah. So in order to create the Jenkins pipeline, I have installed the Jenkins with the Terraform. So I'm using the module and creating the custom VPC. So these are the model specific configurations that I have created. I'm creating the VPC, then I'm creating the security group and I'm enabling the port 8080 and SSH for the SSH, and this is the default port of the Jenkins. And these are the basic settings that we can find over the Terraform official documentation. And this is the EC2 instance. So I'm installing the Jenkins in this particular instance. And these are the default means kind of like the configure settings that we can see on the Terraform official documentation. These are the same. And for storing the state file, I'm using the custom backend. So in the AWS, I'm creating the one bucket. This is the bucket name, and this is where I'm going to store the file. And for the installation, these are the installations. This is kind of like installation startup bootstrap script where I am installing the Docker because we need the Docker. Then I'm installing the Jenkins, and I'm adding Jenkins to the Docker user in the Docker group. And similarly, I have opened some ports with the firewall, and I have installed this, but we don't need it anymore because I was in the Jenkins file. I was trying to deploy the image with the different approach, but now in the updated approach, I have used some plugin of Jenkins, so we don't need this anymore. Yeah, so that's that. And so let's see that Jenkins bucket. So this is the bucket Jenkins state files that I have created. This is the folder, and this is my state file. Similarly, this is my Jenkins server. So if we refresh this is my Jenkins server up and running. Okay, and so I'm building the images in my Docker Hub repository. So this is my repository, Chinmay Koval / anime codes app. As you can see, so we can see the different versions in it. Okay, so this is my github code. So yeah, about this code, so that this code was related to the Terraform and Jenkins. Now this is my actual application code. So kind of like I have the index file where I'm using the front end, and this is the express server that I'm using, node express server. And in order to simulate the API call, I'm just simply making call to this particular array. This is kind of like basic app that I have created, kind of like front end and back end. So that's that. Similarly, I have created the Docker file, the basic Docker file. Like I'm using Alpine version of the node, creating the directory, copying the package star means both the files, installing the dependencies, copying the other files, exposing the port 3000, and then running the container. So while copying this thing, I'm using only selective files, rest of the files will be ignored. And this is the deployment file. This will get used in the Kubernetes cluster. So this is kind of like deployment. This is the name of the deployment, and I am creating 3 replicas. And once I update the image, I am going to use the rolling update. And these are the requirements for that. Like one should be available and max one should not be available. It means that will get updated. So that's why the unavailability and max will be one available. So there should be at least one that should be present. And so these are the container specifications. So the name will be this, and this is the image that I'm going to pull. An image policy is pull, so it will get the updated image every single time. And about this, so this is the specific configuration that I have did in the Jenkins files also. So let's see that too. But before that, this is the service with the load balancer type. So in the cluster we have the load balancer. So we are going to see it in that cluster. So yeah. So this is the Jenkins pipeline code. So the code is like I'm writing here project ID. This is my cluster name that I have created. This is my project ID. This is the AZ in which my cluster is present, and these are the credentials ID. You are going to see these details in the web page of the Jenkins and the Google Cloud. For now, this is the code, and the steps are like I'm pulling the code from the GitHub. I'm building the Docker image out of it, and here I'm going to the tag will be like version here environment dot build id of the Jenkins. So like this will be the build id. So the tag for the image will be the build id of my Jenkins, and I'm pushing it to my Docker Hub account. Similarly here also the same. So my build id will be the version kind of like tag for my image, and while deploying it to the Kubernetes cluster, I'm going to simply replace that variable tag version that I have written over here tag version with the build ID, so that it will appropriately get installed in my Kubernetes cluster. And so I'm using this plugin. So this plugin requires project ID, cluster name, location that I have created over here, and this is the deployment file. So this deployment file will get executed, and credentials again this is there, and this is the verified deployment through. These are the default settings of this particular plugin. So technically I'm deploying it. So like pull the code, make the image, push the image to the Docker Hub account and deploy it to the GKE cluster. Okay. So the code is done. Okay. Now let's see it in a Jenkins. So as we can see, I have created the two credentials with the Docker password. Uh, so here my username is Docker, which is open, and the Docker password is this particular variable. So this is the Docker password. This is the credential ID. So for the credential ID, I'm using the Google Service account private key. So uh, technically, I have one service account in my Google Google account for this particular project. So let's see that. Okay, service account this one. So for that, I have created this key creation that is June 12. This is the today's date. So for this, I have created the key in particular JSON structure, and I have downloaded the key. So this is the key in a JSON structure. So I have downloaded that key and I have put it over here. So this is the kind of like connection to the Google account of mine, and this is the Docker password. Similarly, in order to fetch the code automatically, so whenever there is a change in my GitHub repository, the Jenkins should fetch the code automatically. As a result of which, I have created this webhook. So this is the important part in it. So this is my IP address and my port number of the virtual machine. So if you go here 44.200.212, 44.212.103, and this is the port of the Jenkins slash GitHub webhook. So I have created this webhook. So it will fetch the code automatically from my Jenkins from my GitHub account. and this is the configuration for my pipeline. So my pipeline name is like AOP, Anime Code SAP CI/CD pipeline. So this is my pipeline, and for this pipeline, I have created this configuration. So my configuration is I am using the GitHub hook trigger so that it will do the automatic pulling. And this is the kind of like pipeline that I have created. My repository is this, and on the master branch, I'm going to look for the Jenkins file. So this is my pipeline. Okay, so before running the pipeline, let's see the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so this is my Kubernetes cluster that I have created in the AZ US Central 1C. These are the basic details of my cluster. Okay, currently I'm running the app, so there are 3 nodes. Fine. So let's go to the workloads. Here we can see the quite details. So as of now, I'm using the default namespace. Okay. So this is my cluster name, and this is the deployment. Okay. So I'm running 3 pods, and I have exposed as a load balancer. So this load balancer is active. So this is that load balancer, and I'm running the 3 pods. And okay, the state is currently running. The revision is 5. So I have run that before, ran those container before. Okay, so these are the important cluster details. And similarly, the EC2, not EC2, the virtual machines for the GKE are also created. So in those VMs, let's see that. I guess I have created 3 nodes. Mm, Yes, I have created 3 nodes. So these 3 nodes are also there. But I am exposing the app through the load balancer. So with the help of load balancer, we can see the app. Okay. Uh, so because all the requests will come to this load balancer, so load balancer is exposed, and load balancer will balance my containers on those 3 different VMs. Okay, now so let's get started with the actual demonstration. Okay, so as we have seen before, the version was 6.2. Let's make it to something else. Let's write here new build version. Okay, now as soon as I click on sync changes, this pipeline will get triggered, and these pods will get rolling updates. And similarly, we have here build version 6.2, so that will also get updated to the new build version. So I'm kind of like simulating, like I have made some changes in my project or product. Now let's simulate the change. Let's see the pipeline trigger. Okay, so it is triggering 20th version. Okay, so we can see it over here. It is running 20th pipeline. And if we go over here and I refresh this, so these are terminating, like these are rolling update, but my image is also low, like kind of like 50 Mbps, so it is fast process. And if I look over here, the 6.2 version will be now new build version. As my images are very small, so these processes are getting executed very fast, and they have created the new containers and terminated the old ones. And this is the where is this? Yeah, this is the size. So the process was fast. Yeah, so they have terminated. New pods are ready, and my app is running on a new build version. Okay, so Terraform code Jenkins installation done. Application front-end, back-end Docker file done. Deployment done. Jenkins pipeline running successfully. Pipeline trigger was successful. Let's see the console output. Yes, success. Clusters are also Cluster pods are also updated. This is the sixth revision. Three pods are running. Load balancer. Yes. Yeah, so this was the complete project that I have created. Yeah, thank you.